Welcome back to the Mahabharata. We're on chapter 17, the mighty Jarasandha. Krishna had gotten home to Dwarka quickly after leaving Indraprastha. He offered respects to King Ugrasena, his grandfather, and was welcomed back as the rightful ruler of Dwarka. Dwarka had the ability to dispel the 6 kinds of material sufferings: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. What a good place to live. Krishna was soon informed about Subhadra's giving birth to Abhimanyu, his sister. Later he heard of the construction of the Maya Sabha, the great temple in the celestial hall of the Pandavas, and a few days after that a stranger arrived. And when allowed into the hall, he exclaimed that he was one of many kings, thousands of kings, that Jarasandha had conquered. And I escaped to come plead for help from you, O Sri Krishna. Jarasandha was no stranger to Krishna. Jarasandha had marched on Dwarka 17 times, unsuccessfully every time, but he is a strong guy, and Krishna never dealt with him yet. He only took out his armies. Jarasandha is as strong as 10,000 elephants, and was Kamsa's father-in-law, looking to seek revenge on Krishna, who killed Kamsa. Right on time, Narada Muni arrived, as the king was asking for help, and was welcomed and inquired by Lord Sri Krishna as to how my cousins the Pandavas fare, even though he knows everything that's going on. Narada Muni humbly replied, O Lord, they are all situated, and Yudhisthira wishes to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. He is making preparations, and wishes to invite you, Sri Krishna. Krishna asked Uddhava, what do you think should be done? And he said, I think it is a great idea. Uddhava is Krishna's right-hand man in Dwarka. Not only, my lord, could you instate your cousins as monarchs of the entire world, but the terrible Jarasandha could also be vanquished if you do this. See, they needed to conquer the whole world, and Jarasandha didn't really want that to happen. As I said, he's conquered thousands of kings already. So Krishna and Uddhava came up with a plan. They were going to disguise Bhima as a Brahmin and have him challenge Jarasandha one-on-one. This was the only way it could work. The entire Yadu clan left for Indraprastha and were ecstatically welcomed back. Once in the hall, they discussed their main problem of Jarasandha, whom had allied with many other wicked kings and had an insurmountable army force. But Bhima knew he could take him one-on-one. So, I think it's better to have Krishna and Arjuna accompany me as we go and sneak in to the city of Jarasandha. Yudhisthira was worried. Even knowing Krishna's position, he thought the task impossible. Arjuna reminded his brother how wrong it would be not to fight against such an atrocity. It is our duties as Kshatriyas. And Krishna reassured him that everything would be all right. And when asked by Yudhisthira about Jarasandha's past, Krishna told him that he had been born in a peculiar way. Once there was a king who prayed for a son and was granted a heavenly mango that he was told to feed to his wife. But he thought to himself, it'd be better to split it amongst my 2 wives. In doing so, in due course, both his wives gave birth to half a boy each. Disgusted, the mothers abandoned the lifeless flesh in a forest where it was found by the demon Jara and put together using her mantras. After being informed and reassured by Yudhisthira, everything's going to be all right. I know how to beat this guy. Yudhisthira relented and said, O Sri Krishna, do what you must do to defeat this mighty Jarasandha. So the crew of Bhima, Arjuna, and Krishna set off at once, dressed as brahmacharis, seeking charity, even though they're pretty big dudes. They they got to the edge of the city, which was protected by mountains, which they tore the tops off of. Mainly Bhima. And then Bhima broke a drum that was so big that if you hit it once, it would resonate for a full month. Huh. Then they coolly climbed over the wall of the city, and the guards looked on, due to their disguise as Brahmins. They were received by Jarasandha. Krishna told them that his friends were taking a vow of silence until midnight, and at that point they would tell him of their purpose. So midnight came, and Jarasandha came to see the mysterious Brahmins that entered his city. He offered them milk-bearing cows, but Krishna refused and said, "We are here for another purpose." Jarasandha guessed this at the nature of their entrance, and they were indeed enemies. He could see the power in them. Also, he asked, "Why would I have any enemies, though?" Krishna reminded him about the thousands of kings you'd taken prisoner, buddy, and your time's up. Krishna revealed their identities and said they desired to duel, and that Jarasandha could pick any of the three that he liked. Jarasandha, being somewhat honorable still, even though he was wicked, picked the strongest of them, Bhima. So they decided to fight the next day at sunrise. So a big crowd gathered, and Jarasandha and Bhima get ready to go, gearing to go. And it got intense, folks. They started swinging heavy maces at each other, but eventually those shattered upon impact. They continued to spar with each other hand to hand, all while laughing and talking smack as they hit each other and pummeled each other around. Each countered the other's moves and retaliated with blows of their own. They grappled with each other as they roared with ferocity, but none could gain the upper hand. To the huge crowd's astonishment, the fight continued all day until the sun set, and the duel was paused and the boys were offered hospitalities at night. Because that's the right thing to do. Even the enemies of Jarasandha were taken care of at night because, you gotta have dinner, and sit around the campfire. So the next morning, the fight continued, and it went all day again. All day. They were fighting all day. Broke probably 20 maces. This went on for 28 full days. A full month, people. Bhima worried it would never end. And during the fight on the 28th day, Krishna gave a hint. Bhima looked on to Krishna as Krishna held a piece of grass in his hand, and he split it down the middle, reminding Bhima of how Jarasandha had been born and put together down the middle. So Bhima pummeled Jarasandha into the ground, grabbed one of his legs as he stood on the other, and ripped him up ass to head. All the way, bifurcated him in half. Oh man, there was a massive scream, and the whole city heard it and came running. Krishna and Arjuna congratulated Bhima. Then they went back to the city and ordered Jarasandha's son, Jarasandha, to release the imprisoned kings. The kings all came forward and offered worship to Sri Krishna, and realized that they had been punished by Providence by their own misconduct, and they now took shelter under Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna accepted their worship and got them back on their feet into their kingdoms, and told them to attend the Rajasuya sacrifice and accept Yudhisthira as the monarch of the world. They and Jarasandha's son, Jarasandha, agreed. The boys soon left and arrived back at Indraprastha. Krishna told Yudhisthira of their success. Yudhisthira gave all the credit to Krishna for everything and said, "Nothing's possible without you, Krishna." Krishna said his farewells to his cousins and his friends, and was told the expected day of the Rajasuya sacrifice was not long around the corner. Arjuna came forward to Yudhisthira and asked his brother, "May I ride north and take all the kings, make sure they all pay tribute to you on our quest to conquer the world?" Yudhisthira granted permission, and Arjuna set out at once with a small troop. Similarly, Bhima went east, Sahadev went south, and Nakula went west. Yudhisthira was very excited about the impending sacrifice that would allow his father to reach the highest heavens. the world would be peacefully set in the path of religion, and Krishna would be honored above all others as the supreme person.